Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow, and I'm here to actually do a little bit of talking and reporting on silver. Over the years, it's been no secret that, I believe in investing in silver. I believe that you should actually take what you call Federal Reserve notes, and I think that you should actually, if you have a lot of them sitting around, and you have no particular plans for them, I think that you should do everything you can to put these Federal Reserve notes into what I call sound money, because most of us don't understand economics, and we don't understand the way economies work, and definitely the majority of Americans, almost 99.9% of them, could care less about history, and they don't understand history. But yet, if you don't understand history, there's no way you can be able to see your path to the future, because it is remarkable and amazing the time that we're living in now, and how that history has this uncanny ability to be able to repeat itself again and again and again and again and again. But hey, I'm not without my enemies, whether it be if I'm preaching from the gospel or about the gospel, if I'm preaching from social, political, economics, and judicial viewpoints. No matter what, you're always going to have people out there who are going to dissent and disagree with you. And of course, I don't understand if you listen to someone that you don't agree with. I don't understand why I sit up there and just get all stirred up and in a ruckus and stuff. I mean, you can exercise your freedom and liberty and just turn the dial and go somewhere else and keep your peace. I don't understand why we as Americans have just so much fight in us. I mean, we resist and fight against things that we shouldn't fight against, and the things we should fight against, we don't even care about whatsoever at all. But I'm going to talk to you here just this morning briefly here on the silver front, because a few years ago, Pastor Dow told you to start investing and buying silver when it's $15, $16 an ounce. People mocked me then, and I continue to go on up and tell you to get it at $20 an ounce. And I still received, a bunch of judgments on that, $30 an ounce, $40 an ounce. Even when it got to $45, I still consider it a buying opportunity. And of course, now, what usually happens is, and you have to understand, I understand the volatility of the market. I understand that the CFTC is a jackleg organization, along with our federal government, and along with any of the institutions in the world where the Europeans actually have any control of the monetary system whatsoever at all. You can trust them and believe them about as much as you could trust them to keep any treaty that they made. I mean, you just think about peace treaties after all. The victor is the one who writes the treaty, and then the victim has to sign on unless they get whooped again by the victor. And that's the same way with history. There are certain things about history that if you are ruling the world, or if you are the conquering force, you're going to slant history your way. You're going to actually tell the story the way you want it presented for the whole world to see, and you'll never ever get to hear the side of the one who was conquered. And of course, that's nothing but just old-fashioned racism, and that's just the truth. But we sit and watch this. We see the silver has a run-up, as well as gold has a run-up, then it has a reset. And then it has another run-up, then it has a reset or a pullback. And it has a run-up, and it has another reset, or it continues, it pulls back again. So we saw silver go up in the 20s, and then the high 20s, and then reset it, and it stuck around 20 for a little moment. And we seen it go as high as $49 last year, and then we saw it quickly come back down too. And of course, we know about all the manipulation that has been taking place. We know about J.P. Morgan in short positions. We know about Andrew Maguire getting attacked because he actually let the cat out of the bag of what's really truly taking place with the silver market. We know, those of us who are in the know, we know that the federal government is actually one who controls the CFTC. We know that they control all the regulatory forces in the world, because the dollar is the world reserve currency, which is quickly losing that, because Iran and Russia, as well as India, have all opted in to start trading in rubles. And then China and Japan has done started trading within wands and stuff. So, you know, the world as a whole is starting to go away from the dollar. Now, you're not going to hear this from what you call your American propagandized controlled news media, because it does not profit, nor does it benefit them to actually tell you the truth, because they know what you'll do. They'll know that the American citizens, when they start seeing this sinking ship taking place, that they will flee out of fiat currency or dollars and stuff, and they will start running into tangible assets, which is gold and silver, which has always been money for the last 5,000 years. And I don't think it's going to stop either. And of course, you know, when you get people like Ben Shalom Bernanke, he gets up there and he tells you that gold is tradition and it's not wealth. It's not a store of wealth and stuff, but yet and still all the central banks in the world are hoarding gold. None of the banking institutions in the world are actually doing any lending whatsoever at all. And everybody is fleeing into assets, including the government themselves. And they don't want you people to understand the way economics run, much less the way that the money system or the monetary system runs, because they know that you will make a bank run, or on your own individual bank run, rather than the banks declaring a bank holiday against you. You'll be declaring a bank holiday against them forever, because then you would understand. But you know, the majority of Americans love being deceived. For some reason, we embrace lies, love lies, and we fight and resist, and we hate the truth. Usually people myself, there is a sound of a trumpet, or the watchman that is blowing the trumpet, sounding the alarm and stuff. At first, when people hear the sound, the first thing they do is they get upset. The second thing they do is they start to attack. The third thing they do, when they find out that we're not moving, we're unshakable, we're going to continue to keep staying the course, and we're not going to defect from it whatsoever at all. As other people begin to take notice, then all of a sudden they start to consider. When later on, everything about their world, what they trusted and believed in, the ground beneath their feet starts to give way, everything is done gone from them, and everything that they trust in is all pulled from them, then it's a little too late for them to actually make the moves, the necessary moves that they should have made, because their unbelief or their previous conditioning and training that they received by their institutions, whether it be the government training camps called the public school system, or whether it be higher learning, higher education, it makes no difference, or whether it just be total flat-out ignorance, one jackleg, bootleg, and relative passing down what they call wisdom to you, and you're still suffering from the same wicked condition of apathy and being apathetic, complacent, and the list goes on and on and on. But the truth is, those of you who have took my advice, as well as the advice of other people on here that I associate with, such as J. Snip 4, you listen to SGT Bull, Vision Victory, Street Money 21, Mike Maloney, Jim Rogers. You know, I can go on and on and on and continue to keep naming the people who have done their job and their due diligence to do their best to try to warn us, to help preserve our dinner table as well as our wealth in these upcoming months. Now, does that mean that the government is not going to try to do whatever they can to confiscate or make a run-up on its own citizens? Well, you know just as well as I do, the government really truly don't care nothing about the American citizens. They only care about themselves. It is the rich against the poor, whether you like it or not, whether you understand it or not. And that's just the way it has always been. And that's the reason why the rich are so greedy today, because they can't fathom speaking the truth, living the truth. And that's one thing about riches. You can't take them with you in death. People have tried that even since the Egyptian dynasties and stuff, and no wonder. Hey, you go back years and years later, 5,000 years later, 4,000 years later, people go and excavate it and stuff, and the riches that you thought was yours ended up being somebody else's. So it's time for us, high time for us to wake up and start considering today where we're at and doing a serious evaluation. You know, I keep telling you, if you're in debt, the borrower is a servant to the lender, and that's all there is to it. And as long as you are in debt, you are an actual slave to the system. Now, I understand that in this system, in this fiat currency, in this Ponzi scheme that we're in right now, that there are certain things that we just literally can't get away from, but we can minimize the effects upon ourselves and what we would actually allow ourselves to be abused by if we would use just a little bit of self-government, if we would use just a little bit of independent thinking. Now, in order to do that, you have to develop the attitude to where, you know what, I am going to start checking out everything that has ever been presented to me. I'm going to actually, sit back, because there's a whole lot of fight There's a whole lot of argument that's going on in the world today. And it just seems that people are just at each other's throats, and they don't even know why that they're each other's throats. And I understand when truth comes to you and you believe a lie all this time, I know what human nature would do. It would do everything that it can to defend itself from the truth, because truth demands change. And as long as truth demands change and we've been comfortable with our lives, or as I often say, a slave that loves change has no reason whatsoever at all to be free. You don't want to be free. And so in order to change, it's a very painful experience. And then it's another painful experience to actually admit that you've been wrong. But the paradigm of the human psyche, the way we've been trained and conditioned by our handlers here in this world, is quickly shifting right before our very eyes. A lot of people are waking up left and right. I mean, just they're waking up, especially in the faith front, what many of you have been conditioned to call religion. But people are really truly coming to the conclusion, but they only do this after they start really truly becoming proactive and checking out the things that are said. That's why Pastor Dow says over and over again, don't believe a word that I say. You're not going to like 99% of the stuff I said, or the 99% of the stuff that I say. You're not going to like it. I know that already from the very beginning. Even before I make a video, I already know that I'm going to have my haters and dissenters. But I ask you to at least don't dishonor, but show some honor for once in your life. I mean, even an enemy can be respected, providing that he has integrity and honor in his heart. Now, he may be an enemy and stuff, but at least you can know what your enemy is all about. But, you know, sometimes enemies can even become the greatest of friends, depending upon if you understand and know the perspective that they're coming from. Because all of us, we've been persuaded. We've been duped and we've been deceived literally out of our minds. Everything that has been presented to us in this economy, everything that has been presented to us here in this world is just a literal lie. I mean, are the schools today still teaching that Christopher Columbus discovered America? Do they still teach that fabricated fallacy of a lie, that pseudo lie here in the United States of America? Guess what? Chances are the school curriculums are still teaching that Columbus discovered America. Now, you know just as well as I do that there's no way a man can discover a land that has already been inhabited. You know just as well as I do, how can a man discover a land that he's never set foot in? But yet and still, the lie is promoted. And the system that promote the lies, they're not about to change anything. And so when you've been conditioned and trained by this kind of system, especially from a religious system, especially from a historical system, they're not about to rock your world and tell you that they've been liars. A liar is not going to disturb and upset you and tell you, okay, all right, I give up. I've been lying. I've been lying to you all this time, but so now I'm going to tell you the truth. Are you really truly going to believe that? Are you really truly going to believe that? So most people are going to be deceived. Now, today, I have what you call a dime right here. It's a pre-1964 dime. And this dime today is probably worth $2.50. Now notice it has a 10-cent denominational value on it and stuff. And you can take a regular old dime that is nothing but an ironclad slug. It's not even worth the value that is actually printed on it. But yet and still, they use it as a medium of exchange. That's what you call money, because you can still purchase goods and services with it. But that's coming to an end. That is what I'm trying to tell you. This quarter right here is a pre-1964 quarter. It's 1961. I think it has like maybe a $6.50 value on it, something like that. But hey, can you imagine that this one quarter is actually worth more than this $1 bill today? I mean, that is, how do you fathom a thought like that? How do you get that through your mind? How do you get that through your conscience when you can almost take this dime and buy 1 gallon of gas, but yet and still you cannot take this dollar today and buy 1 gallon of gas with this dollar, but yet you can with this silver 90% dime right here, 90% silver dime. You can't even get that through people's heads who have trusted in a lie all their lives. That's why we believe in Santa Claus, fairy tales. That's why we believe that a lot of stuff that we believe does not mean that it's true because you put mental sense to it, you believe it. But you know, you're going to have to come out of all these lies and stuff that you believe. You're going to become proactive. You really truly need to start doing your due diligence. Some of you have family. Some of you have children. some of you to have, have descendants, and you have a real true care for those who are coming behind you, and no doubt you don't want to see them hurt, injured in any kind of way. It's time for you to start taking the necessary measures and steps, and rather than just sitting back and judging things and giving an opinion of things based on what your previous condition has already taught you, how about actually just going back and doing some due diligence and checking and doing the research and studying and finding, is this man really telling the truth? And if I am, then you've got yourself you're getting ready to meet. Because I already got enough people throwing mud at me left and right. And let me give you a little bit of wisdom on that. He who slings mud loses ground. And that's the reason why the ground beneath a lot of people's feet right now is giving way. Everything around them is crumbling. Their whole paradigm, their religious paradigm, their economics paradigm, their social paradigm, and you can see that it's all coming down. It's all coming down. But you know what? A wise man, if the people of that city can hear him, he is able to deliver a whole city by his wisdom. But there are a few wise men, and I already know, beforehand, before I even come on here, that 99% of the people that listen to these videos that I make are not going to believe anything that I say, that they're actually going to pass judgment upon me and what I'm saying, the information that I'm saying, or the knowledge that I'm presenting based on what they already believe without doing any research whatsoever at all. It's because they personally believe it. That still doesn't change the fact that if you're in debt, you broke as hell. And that's all there is to it. Still doesn't change the fact you can keep on believing these lies about Christmas Sunday as the Sabbath and the Easter Bunny laying eggs and stuff. That's why you're spiritually desolate and you have no power against the influence of satanic forces, whether they be externally or internally, whether it be in your body, in your or in the spirit realm or whatever at all. It still doesn't change the fact. You have to change and be converted to the truth. And not only do you have to change and be converted to the truth, but you have to have a love for it. And when you have a love for it, all of a sudden, it's like the light turns on. And the things that you used to believe, all of a sudden you find yourself hating that thing because you find out, I've been lied to, I've been taken advantage of, I have been raped, I have been robbed, I have been pillaged, literally, and plundered by a system of corruption. Well, I got people that mock me. Of course, we've seen silver sitting around $30, and that's pretty much the reset level. And now today it's going on up higher. I think the last I saw it was at $33.67. And believe you me, with all of the money that our government has printed, they've already done quantitative easing in 3. They just hadn't told you about it. The American government has been sending money, been funneling millions upon trillions of dollars into the European system over there without you people knowing it. We don't have too many taxpayers in America because there are no jobs to pay taxes. So therefore, the only recourse and the only answers that our government have today is to print more money out of thin air. That's the only answer we have for everything. We're not interested in trying to balance this budget. How in the world can you balance a budget when I told you weeks before it even came out in the news that Obama's getting ready to ask for another $1.2 trillion in order to kick the can down the road, to keep the economy afloat again for another, you hear that, for another few months. And then they talking about balancing the budget and saving $1.2 trillion over 10 years. Can you follow those same principles? Can you actually do the same thing that our government doing even in your own life without having the IRS? And now our government is actually, they actually have developed a thing called debt prisons. Can you actually do that? I mean, I was just thinking this morning as I was talking to the saints of the Most High in the dining hall, I said, we raise our own chickens. And from time to time, we have to go out and we have to buy feed for these chickens. And this morning, for a 50-pound bag of feed, and we get the good stuff because we believe in putting the good stuff in our bodies, I paid $18.79, something like that. Some $18, it was close to $19 for one 50-pound bag of feed. And I'm sitting there thinking, how in the world can the people out here afford to even keep their livestock afloat in a bag? How can you afford to do that? Whether you like it or not, you're going to be forced to get around believers. And whether you like it or not, you're going to be forced to get around unbelievers. Either way it goes, whether it be your natural family or your spiritual family, you are going to be forced to come together just in order to survive. Because I can't imagine, you know, you got chickens running around here in America looking worse than Ethiopian chickens who are hardly ever fed anything, has any nutritional value at all. I mean, can you imagine a skinny chicken that even if you butcher, you can't even get any meat off of it? Because the prices of everything is not that there's not enough feed, it's not that there's not enough food. It's all there, it's all around. But you just simply can't afford to buy it. That's where we're headed. And that's why that I believe that this year is going to be one of the last years of preparation that we're going to have here in this country. I mean, seriously being able to prepare, because the prices, inflation is starting to show itself for what it really truly is. And if America go ahead and make this move on Iran and stuff, and we get this war going right here, you're going to see gas and you're going to see energy costs just literally shoot through the roof. And a lot of you people out there that has bought these big old gigantic vehicles paying $30 and $40 and $50 and $60,000 for them, all you're going to have is a hunk of iron sitting in your driveway, because you're not going to be able to afford the gas to be able to get back and forth to work. You're going to have to actually spend $300 almost a week just to get back and forth to work. It's not even going to be worth even going to work for. I mean, it's sad what's happening. I hope that you got the eyes to see and the ears to hear. I really truly do. You've heard the truth. You heard it straight way. Better go ahead and get into some tangible assets. This silver right here. Get into some tangible assets. This silver right here. And gold. Gold is a little bit out of my reach. I'm just a poor man. I can't afford to put that kind of money into gold right now. But whether you like it or not, understand it or not, you're going to find out in a very painful way there are people who you should have been listening to, and you're going to be pretty upset. You're going to be pretty mad at yourself because you haven't found out that your own heart has literally let you down and deceived you, because you can't trust nobody but your own self. And even today, you can't even trust that.